This page is the front cover of a magazine featuring a character from The Wind Sylphid 2, which is highlighted as part of a Too Big RPG strategy special feature alongside Mario Story, known internationally as Paper Mario. The cover also promotes other anticipated new releases, such as Mario Kart Advance, Perfect Dark, Dubutsu no Mori, which was released internationally as Animal Crossing, Mario Party 3, and Pokémon Stadium Gold Silver Crystal. Furthermore, the page announces a Nintendo Space World Big Special feature focusing on the Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance, along with a Zelda Teleka Everyone service promotion. The magazine is issue 50, dated November 2000, and is described as the N64 and Game Boy Big Love magazine. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Harvest Moon GB3, Boy and Girl. It's promoted as a soothing dramatic RPG, where players can enjoy two different storylines depending on whether they choose to play as a boy or a girl. The game focuses on rebuilding a ranch on a deserted island, and promises both adventure and events within its world. The advertisement highlights the game's release date as September 29th, priced at 4,200 yen. The imagery includes a wedding scene with plush animal toys as guests, and displays the gamebox art in both standard Game Boy and Game Boy Color versions. This page is an advertisement for the Kugin CD-ROM, the Summer 2000 edition, available now. This CD-ROM is designed for PlayStation and includes 1043 memory card save data. It's compatible with a wide range of 17 consoles, including Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, and many others. The CD boasts a large collection of information, featuring introductions to 10,089 games and a staggering 15,826 secret techniques. It also includes the latest data for PlayStation and PlayStation 2. This CD-ROM is priced at 2,000 yen and supervised by Wazahiko Kindaichi. It is available for purchase at bookstores throughout Japan. This page is an advertisement for a game strategy guidebook called Kugin, or Extensive Technique Garden, which is advertised as the Ultimate Game Secret Compendium in a new revised edition for Spring/Autumn 2000. It boasts a catalog of 4,692 games and 6,824 techniques for consoles, including PlayStation 2, PlayStation, Saturn, Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, and WonderSwan. The book is priced at 990 yen and available at bookstores nationwide, published by MYCOM. The ad emphasizes that the title has changed, and it's a new publication, highlighting its popularity. This magazine's contents include features on the GameCube's 2000 presentation, RPGs like Furai no Shiren 2 and Paper Mario, and a Nintendo Space World 2000 special. Game previews cover Game Boy Advance titles such as Mario Kart Advance and Golden Sun, and N64 software like Pokémon Stadium Gold and Silver Crystal, and Animal Crossing. The Game Boy Color section features games like Zelda, Oracle of Ages. A comprehensive game index lists titles across N64, Game Boy, GBC, and GBA, including Castlevania, Circle of the Moon, and Perfect Dark. Regular sections offer Nintendo Q&A, news, player content, and articles on game forums, shops, and other recurring features. This page is a calendar previewing upcoming Nintendo software releases for September and October of 2000. It highlights the announcement of the new Nintendo GameCube console, unveiled at Space World, and the portable Game Boy Advance. There's discussion about new game titles being revealed alongside, but also the unfortunate news of Mother 3's development being cancelled, which is described as sad news. The page then delves into more detail about Mother 3's cancellation, referencing information from Shigesato Itoi's website, and mentions articles in the Hobonichi Itoi newspaper and Asahi Shimbun. Another section focuses on Biohazard Zero, provisional title, which we know internationally as Resident Evil Zero. It details the announcement that this game, initially planned for the N64, would now be released on the Nintendo GameCube. The article explains that the change was due to the cartridge format on the N64 becoming insufficient for the game's increasing volume of content and to achieve the desired quality. The calendar section lists game releases for both N64 and Game Boy. For the N64, it features Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle, set for release on September 27th, and Perfect Dark, scheduled for October 21st. The Game Boy titles listed include various genres like Pokemon puzzle games, hamster-themed titles, puzzle games, and games based on anime and manga, such as Cardcaptor Sakura and Super Doll Licca-chan. This page showcases the reader's anticipated new titles, TOP 20 on the left side, and the top 10 best-selling N64 software on the right, according to sales data collected between August 7th and September 3rd. The reader's anticipation ranking is topped by Pokemon Stadium Gold Silver Crystal, likely referring to Pokemon Stadium 2 in English, followed by Zelda no Densetsu DD version, temporary, Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, and the cancelled Mother 3 Pig King's End. Other anticipated titles include Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, Perfect Dark, and placeholders like Panel de Pon 64, temporary, and Fire Emblem 64, temporary, Mega Man 64, Conker's Quest, temporary, Super Black Base 64, Slip Racers, Animal Leader Cubivore, and Daizenryaku Ultimate War 2064 are also listed. On the sales ranking chart, Mario Story, Paper Mario, takes the top spot, followed by Mario Tennis 64, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Super Smash Bros., and Power Pros Baseball 2000. Mario Party 2, Excitebike 64, GoldenEye 007, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and Donkey Kong 64 complete the top 10 best-selling N64 games. The Pick Up section highlights Mario Story, Paper Mario, mentioning it's a new adventure for Mario after tennis and party games, where Paper Mario fights to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser. The text at the top right comments on Pokemon Stadium Gold/Silver, topping the charts, and briefly mentions the cancellation of Mother 3 and Biohazard Zero being moved to the GameCube platform, suggesting a potential shift in N64's future game lineup. This page reveals editorial favorites and reader internet habits. A popular cup noodles ranking places seafood flavor first, followed by chili tomato and Okinawa soba. Reader internet usage is explored through pie charts. 47% have internet access, with most sessions lasting 30 to 60 minutes and originating from home. A top 10 N64 software for online play. Ranking lists Pokemon Stadium as the most desired online game, followed by Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart 64. Games with versus modes are prevalent in the top 10, which also includes GoldenEye 007 and The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. This page is a special report about Nintendo Space World 2000, a large Nintendo event held at Makuhari Messe for 4 days in August 2000. The page highlights Nintendo's vision for the 21st century with the tagline, 21st Century, Our Future is Taught by Nintendo. It introduces the Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and Mobile System GB as key products showcased at the event. The page also includes a software introduction index listing page numbers for articles about Nintendo GameCube, NGC, Game Boy Advance, GBA, Nintendo 64, N64, and Game Boy Color, GBC software, indicating that while this page is focused on new hardware, the magazine also covers software for existing and upcoming Nintendo consoles, including the N64. The Player Select section with game screenshots likely represents the software available or being showcased across different Nintendo platforms at the event. The Nintendo GameCube, a 21st century cube-style console slated for release in July 2001, is detailed on this page. It showcases the console's design through multiple views, highlighting features like the AC adapter input, AV multi-connector, and controller ports. Technical specifications are provided, including the IBM PowerPC Gecko processor running at 405 MHz, a custom Flipper Graphics LSI, and a dedicated 16-bit DSP for sound. The GameCube uses 8 cm optical discs with approximately 1.5 GB capacity. It boasts features like sub-pixel anti-aliasing and supports digital AV output. The console measures 150 mm by 110 mm by 161 mm and includes ports for controllers, memory cards, and expansion, hinting at future capabilities. This page showcases the Nintendo GameCube from a top-down perspective, highlighting its design and mentioning that there will be 5 color variations available for the console. The text expresses excitement about which color will become the most popular and playfully encourages dedicated fans to collect all 5 colors. It also notes that the image shown is at actual size. This page is titled Graphic and highlights impressive visuals showcased in upcoming games for the Nintendo 64. First, it features a Link vs. Ganondorf section, showing a battle scene with Link and Ganondorf. The text describes this as a dynamic demo, with Ganondorf unleashing his power and Link skillfully deflecting attacks. It expresses excitement about the game's potential. Next is Luigi and Ghost Mansion, Luigi's Mansion, showing images of Luigi and a haunted mansion. The text praises the quality of the ghost visuals and notes Luigi's appearance in this impressive demo. The Nyasu's Party, Meowth's Party section displays screenshots of Pokemon, including Meowth playing a guitar. The description highlights the impressive animation of the Pokemon, surpassing anime quality, and mentions the comical movements of Meowth and other Pokemon, expressing anticipation for the game. Super Mario 128 is also featured, showing numerous Mario characters on screen. The text describes it as an overwhelming demo, with 128 Mario figures moving simultaneously. It mentions that Miyamoto himself seems satisfied with the visuals, and expresses hope for a game utilizing this technology. Finally, the page includes Metroid, with screenshots showing Samus Aran in a dark corridor. The text mentions the Metroid footage eliciting the loudest cheers from the audience, indicating high anticipation for this game. This page details the new GameCube controller, highlighting it as the 21st Century game controller from Nintendo. It points out the controller's design and button layout, including the L, R, and Z buttons, 3D stick, D-pad, and A, B, X, Y, and C buttons. It mentions that a wireless controller, the Wavebird, is also planned, eliminating cable clutter. 5 color variations for the controller will be available. The page also introduces new memory options for the GameCube, explaining that SD memory cards can be used. Game save data is stored on 4 megabits digicards, and the system will have 2 slots for these. An SD digicard adapter is also announced, allowing the use of larger SD memory cards, with a 64 megabytes card potentially holding the equivalent of 8 Mario 64 games worth of save data. This page is focused on the Nintendo GameCube hardware features, as presented at Nintendo Space World 2000. The network section details the GameCube's network capabilities, highlighting the modem adapter for standard phone lines at 56 kilobits per second and a broadband modem adapter for faster network connections like CATV, allowing for internet and network gaming. It also mentions connectivity with the Game Boy Advance. The cable section discusses the GameCube's support for digital video output using a dedicated video cable, enabling higher quality 21st Century visuals on digital TVs compared to standard video cables. The media section talks about the shift to 8 cm optical discs for GameCube games, marking a move away from cartridges. It explains the disc capacity is 1.5 gigabytes, and mentions that this is enough to hold approximately 190 copies of Mario 64, Super Mario 64. The section also addresses the question of DVD and CD playback, clarifying that the GameCube's 8 cm disk drive is not compatible with standard 12 cm DVDs or CDs, though a DVD player add-on is anticipated for those wanting to watch DVDs. The handle section considers the GameCube's handle design, pondering its usefulness for portability and suggesting that while convenient, the Game Boy Advance is the more practical option for on-the-go gaming. Finally, the Cube section comments on the Cube boom, noting the simultaneous release of the GameCube and Apple's new Mac Cube, drawing parallels between their cubic designs and suggesting fans of both products might find the similarity interesting. This page introduces the Game Boy Advance, highlighting it as the evolved Game Boy that gamers have been waiting for. It was released on March 21, 2001, for 9,800 yen. The design section talks about the new horizontal style of the console, a departure from previous vertical Game Boys, emphasizing its comfortable feel. It mentions the availability in 2 colors, blue and orange. The network section details its communication cable that allows up to 4 players to play together, suggesting a focus on multiplayer experiences. It also mentions the backwards compatibility with Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges. Finally, the page touches on the mobile system GB connectivity, hinting at future services linking the Game Boy Advance with mobile phones. The specifications table lists technical details like the screen size, resolution, CPU, memory, and battery life, but no specific N64 games are discussed on this introductory page about the Game Boy Advance console itself. This page is a hardware introduction to the Game Boy Advance. It showcases the different views of the console, including front, rear, top, side, and under views, pointing out various features like the L and R buttons, D-pad, start and select buttons, A and B buttons, power lamp, speaker, LCD display, cartridge slot, external expansion connector, strap hook, power switch, volume control, and stereo headphone jack. It mentions the 2.9-inch color LCD screen is very clear and vibrant. It also shows the cartridge and battery pack separately, noting that the cartridge shape is significantly different from previous Game Boy models, being horizontal and having a maximum ROM capacity of 256 megabits, suggesting many large-capacity games are expected. Regarding the battery, it mentions rechargeable batteries are available, allowing for 10 hours of continuous play, useful for portable gaming, suggesting the convenience of using rechargeable batteries or replacing them when needed. Finally, there's a section titled GBA Actual Play, which describes the initial impression of playing the GBA. It mentions there's no sense of discomfort from the previously mentioned design, and entering the game world feels smooth. However, it notes initial hesitation with the L and R buttons, leading to gripping the console tightly and causing some hand fatigue. It concludes that this will likely be overcome with continued use and getting used to the controls. This page introduces the Mobile System GB and Mobile Adapter GB, designed for the Game Boy Color and later the Game Boy Advance. Released on December 14, 2000, for 5,800 yen, this system aimed to bring new ways to play by connecting the Game Boy to mobile phones. The page details 4 types of Mobile Adapter GB planned for different mobile phone networks: PDC for NTT Docomo and JPHONE, with a 9.6 kilobits per second communication speed, PHSDDI Pocket supporting 32 kilobits per second, possibly up to 64 kilobits per second with H-Edge, mobile phone CDMA1, and PHSNTT Docomo Astel, with the latter two having undecided release dates, expected to be later than the first two. The system allowed Game Boy Color and eventually Game Boy Advance users to connect to mobile phone networks, opening up possibilities for new gaming services. The next page details the Mobile System GB and what it can do. It outlines 4 main services. Firstly, mail service, allowing users to send and receive emails through their Game Boy Color using a unique email address and an internet connection. Secondly, the content download service enables users to download extra game content, like minigames or characters, for compatible N64 games via a mobile data center. Thirdly, the Evolution service allows for game data upgrades for Game Boy Color titles via a Nintendo server for a fee. Lastly, peer-to-peer communication is possible, allowing for direct data exchange between mobile phones. The page also lists the fees associated with the service. There's a one-time registration fee of 400 yen, an internet connection fee of 10 yen per minute, and potential charges for paid content from Nintendo, in addition to standard mobile phone call charges. It emphasizes that a mobile phone or PHS is required to use these services, and that internet usage fees are separate. The content usage fee depends on whether the content is free or paid. This page is about the Game Boy Color game, Pokémon Crystal. It highlights the game's new mobile system integration, allowing players to communicate and trade Pokémon using mobile phones. The article explains that this feature fulfills the dream of trading Pokémon with friends who are far away. The page details how to access the mobile communication option at Pokémon centers, introducing a new mobile choice. It also mentions enhanced animations in battles, particularly for Pokémon moves, using Hitmontop as an example where its spinning animation is more detailed. The game information box lists Pokémon Crystal as the title for the Game Boy Color. It is published by Nintendo, scheduled for release on December 14th, priced at 3,800 yen, and classified as an RPG for one player. It supports communication cables and Mobile System GB. The development status is stated at 80%. This page is showcasing upcoming Game Boy Color titles that are compatible with the Mobile System GB. First up is Mobile Golf from Nintendo, a golf game utilizing communication features, slated for release on December 14th at 3,800 yen. Next is GB Wars, another Nintendo title, a strategy game also with communication capabilities, priced at 3,800 yen, but with an undecided release date. Following that is Beatmania GB NetJam, provisional title, from Konami, a music game that can be played via communication, with both price and release date yet to be determined. Lastly, there's minigame Hajime Mashita, provisional title, also from Konami, a collection of mini-games with communication features, currently 90% complete with undecided pricing and release. The page also highlights the Space World event where Pokemon Crystal was presented, emphasizing its popularity and the use of mobile system GB for Pokemon trading. Finally, there's a summary of the Nintendo Space World 2000 event, mentioning the Dream editorial department's positive impressions and a reader's enjoyment of Nintendo and Pokemon games, including those for the N64. This page is the Nintendo Space World 2000 soft guide, focusing on the Game Boy Advance. It announces that there will be 39 Game Boy Advance titles featured at the event. This includes 9 titles that had been announced previously, and mentions that software compatible with the Game Boy Advance is expected to be available from spring of the following year. This page is a preview of Mario Kart Advance, a title for the Game Boy Advance. The page highlights it as a new installment in the Mario Kart series, emphasizing its 4-player capability via link cable. The screenshots showcase the colorful graphics of the GBA, featuring familiar characters and items. The character select screen is visible, showing Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and others. The text describes the gameplay as similar to the Super Famicom version but enhanced for the GBA, praising the graphics and controls, noting the drift mechanic is present. It mentions that winning races leads to podium scenes, and emphasizes the excitement of 4-player battles. The game is described as a must-buy, even suggesting players should purchase the GBA and link cables just to play it. The game information table states the title is Mario Kart Advance, tentative. Publisher is Nintendo. Release date and price are undecided. Genre is race. Player number is 14 players. And remarks note, GBA, dedicated communication cable compatible. The development status is listed as 50%. This page is a promotional feature for the Game Boy Advance RPG Golden Sun. It highlights key aspects of the game, emphasizing its energy ability, which is used in battles for offense, defense, and even for reading the opponent's mind. The page mentions the game is being developed by Camelot, the creators of Mario Tennis and the Shining series, building anticipation for their new title. Screenshots showcase various aspects of the game, including the visually appealing village environments, dynamic battle scenes, and party battles. The captions highlight the impressive graphics on the GBA, the fluidity of character movement in battles, and the variety of enemies. A Play Review in Space World section expresses excitement about the game's beautiful graphics on the Game Boy Advance and the interesting energy ability, concluding that it looks like a deeply enjoyable RPG. The game was still in development at 30% completion at the time of this preview. This page is a preview for the Game Boy Advance game Napoleon. It's described as an 18th century French war simulation game where players lead soldiers to victory as a commander. The preview highlights gameplay features such as commanding units, capturing enemy castles to win battles, and rewarding commanders with prizes. End quote. The game seems to involve strategic movement and combat on a map. There's also mention of a 2-player versus mode using a link cable. Screenshots show gameplay with unit deployment, battlefield action, and menus for unit management and rewards. The review section expresses positive impressions, noting it's a simple and enjoyable simulation game, especially suitable for the GBA, mentioning its easy controls and save function. The reviewer suggests it would be a good purchase alongside a GBA. This page is a preview of the Game Boy Advance game Kuru Kuru Kururin, showcased at Nintendo Space World 2000. This action title from Nintendo is still in development at 60% completion with an undecided release date and price. It will support 12 players and utilize the GBA communication cable and mobile system GB. The game is described as a simple yet surprisingly deep action experience. Screenshots show gameplay with heart icons representing health and stages that become increasingly complex. A playtester initially thought the game might be too simple for the GBA, but realized the slow rotation of the bar and precise collision detection are well suited to the system. The Kuru Kuru Kururin report, section in cartoon form, introduces Kururin itself, a mysterious spinning object, and emphasizes the addictive nature of the gameplay. It looks simple but is very engaging and challenging, reminding the reviewer of a frustrating maze game where you have limited lives. The Game Boy Advance has a promising lineup of upcoming games. Fire Emblem. The Sealed Shrine Maiden boasts beautiful graphics and a familiar feel for fans. F-Zero brings supersonic racing with graphics similar to the Super Famicom version and strategic gameplay. Tactics Ogre Gaiden offers a strategy RPG experience following the N64's Ogre battle. Additionally, several trump cards are in development. Game Boy Wars Advance, Umana Daisakusen, a horse racing game, Hanasaki Gassen, a mystery title, Magical Vacation, a communication RPG, and Wario Land 4, an action game. The text anticipates exciting 4-player battles in F-Zero and expresses overall enthusiasm for the GBA's future game releases. Konami is bringing a diverse lineup to the Game Boy Advance, featuring both original titles and established franchises. Highlights include Silent Hill AGB, a visual novel emphasizing psychological horror, Konami YY Racing Advance, a kart racer starring Konami characters, and Mailsoft? Mail to Cute? An adventure game with a communication theme. Monster Breed promises monster raising and battling gameplay, while Golfmaster AGB offers a golf experience, representing Konami's sports game expertise. Lastly, Akumajo Dracula, Circle of the Moon, Castlevania, Circle of the Moon, delivers a new entry in the classic action platformer series. This varied selection aims to provide a range of experiences for GBA players. The next page is a preview for the Game Boy Advance game Rockman EXE, known internationally as Mega Man Battle Network. This action title from Capcom was planned for release in March 2001 and supports 1 to 4 players, with compatibility for the mobile adapter GB. The page introduces the setting as the Net era, where the protagonist Hikari Neto, known as Lon Hikari in the English version, lives in a town connected by networks. A criminal organization called WWW is causing trouble, and Neto's NetNavi Rockman, installed on his PET device, dives into the cyber world to fight computer viruses in network battles. The screenshots show gameplay both in the overworld and during battles. In battle, Rockman uses his Rockbuster and other attacks, while facing virus enemies. There's a section highlighting Neto's personality as bright but sometimes mischievous, and his talent for net battles makes him #1 at school. He's also depicted encountering viruses that are attacking the school server. A play review from Space World section compares the graphics to Super Famicom level on the GBA, noting the smooth animation of Rockman and the inclusion of a mobile system feature that fits the story. The game was stated to be 50% complete at the time of this preview. The next page features previews for 2 games on different handheld consoles. The top half showcases Pinobee's Great Adventure for the Game Boy Advance, an action game developed by ARTOON, known for working on the Sonic series. This title, also known as Pinobee, Quest of Heart, stars Pinobee, a bee-like robot, and boasts impressive full CG opening demos and smooth pre-rendered character animations. It's described as an action-packed adventure leveraging cutting-edge technology. The development is 60% complete, and the screenshots display vibrant, high-quality graphics and action gameplay. The bottom half introduces Heitena Satena for the original Game Boy, a unique communication puzzle game. It's described as a new kind of illustration logic puzzle, with communication elements involving 4 space alien characters, aiming for a different and interesting experience. The game is 50% complete, and screenshots display the puzzle grids and cute alien characters, suggesting an intriguing puzzle concept where aliens are interested in the puzzles. This page highlights 3 upcoming Game Boy Advance titles. First is Momotaro Matsuri, a variety RPG, where you play various minigames based on the popular Japanese folktale character Momotaro. Screenshots showcase minigames such as a slot machine game called Takoyaki Slot, a game hitting a Jizu statue with a shuttlecock called Hanetsuki Jizu, a reflex game called Harisen Zumo, and a timing-based mochi pounding game called Mochitsuki Patanko. Next is Bomberman Story, which is currently a tentative title and is an action RPG. This Bomberman game was revealed as a hidden title in a Space World pamphlet and appears to be an adventure-style game. Lastly, we have Morita Shogi Advanced, a portable version of the well-known Shogi software series. This version boasts a strong AI and mobile adapter compatibility for online play, letting you enjoy Shogi anytime, anywhere. This page showcases a range of upcoming Game Boy Advance titles for Nintendo Space World 2000. Starting with racing games, there's Top Gear All Japan GT Championship from Konami System, promising hot racing action in the popular series. Another racing game is Pocket GT Advance by MTO, adding to the lineup of portable racers. For simulation fans, TAM presents Air Traffic Controller, a unique simulation game where you become an air traffic controller, perfect for those who love airplanes. Moving to other genres, Konami System also brings Tweety and the Magic Jewels, a cute and fun action game with a charming atmosphere. Fishing game enthusiasts can look forward to Super Black Bass Advance from Starfish, bringing the classic bass fishing series to the GBA. For younger players, Imagineer is developing Hello Kitty Miracle Collection, appealing to Hello Kitty fans. Lastly, Epoch is working on a Doraemon game, an action title currently in development as indicated by the now making message shown, highlighting that even Doraemon will be appearing on the GBA. This page showcases a list of upcoming Game Boy Advance software alongside a survey report from Space World 2000. The Game Boy Advance software list presents a range of titles with their developers and genres. Notable games mentioned include Mario Kart Advance, F-Zero for Game Boy Advance, Kuru Kuru Kurin, Game Boy Wars Advance, Tactics Ogre Gaiden, and Fire Emblem. Konami also has a strong presence with titles like Konami YY Racing Advance, Golf Master AGB, and Akumajo Dracula Circle of the Moon, known internationally as Castlevania, Circle of the Moon. Hudson is also developing various games, including Pinobi, Wing of Adventure, and Bomberman Story. Other recognizable titles include Rockman.exe, known as Mega Man Battle Network outside Japan, and Winning Post for Game Boy Advance. The Space World survey reveals that 48% of respondents attended the event, while 37% couldn't make it, and 15% didn't intend to go. The most interesting upcoming titles, according to those who didn't attend, were Mario Kart Advance at number 1, followed by Pokemon Crystal and Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver. Further down the list were Shiren the Wanderer 2, Perfect Dark, The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, Dance Dance Revolution, Disney Dancing Museum, Animal Crossing, and Golden Sun. The survey also found that a massive 84% of respondents were planning to buy a Game Boy Advance, while only 16% were not. This page is a guide for Nintendo Space World 2000, focusing on Nintendo 64 software. It highlights 12 game titles out of the 15 that were exhibited at the event. The text mentions that unannounced titles for the N64 are planned for release by the end of the year, and this guide will introduce 12 of the games showcased at Space World. The page features images from the event, including attendees and close-ups of the Nintendo 64 console and controller. This page is focused on the N64 game Animal Forest, which is a provisional title for what would become Animal Crossing. It's a communication game for one player, slated for release in February 2001 at a price of 5,800 yen, and is 70% complete in development at the time of this page. The page describes the game as a new type of experience, where players live in a forest inhabited by animals, borrowing a house and living life there. Time in the game progresses in sync with real time, and various events occur. Players can build relationships with the animal residents, and it's a game about a new type of communication. Screenshots showcase gameplay across 4 seasons: spring with flowers, summer with fishing in the river, autumn with fruits and events, and winter with snow. The page highlights enjoying communication with animal friends throughout the changing seasons, and describes it as a game to be enjoyed at a leisurely pace, and for a long time, focusing on building relationships with the residents. The reviewer's comment emphasizes the enjoyable aspect of the game, being that daily interactions with residents change and evolve, making it a highly recommended title. This page is focused on the upcoming Nintendo 64 game, Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver Crystal, which is currently in development at 70% completion. Is highlighted as the culmination of the Pokemon Stadium series, promising battles with all Pokemon and a comprehensive Pokédex feature. The game, published by Nintendo, is slated for release on December 14th, with a price of 6,800 yen, and supports 1 to 4 players. It's designed for battles and completing the Pokédex, and is compatible with the 64GB puck. Screenshots showcase Pokemon battles in action. Featured Pokemon on the page include Bellossom, Hoot Hoot, Spinarak, Magcargo, and Ledian. Wobbuffet is also prominently displayed. This page is focused on showcasing the enhanced features of Pokemon Stadium 2, highlighting its upgraded minigames and new content. You can see a range of Pokemon characters like Wooper, Sunkern, Cleffa, Fanapy, Marill, Ampharos, Mareep, and Hoppip. Screenshots display intense Pokemon battles, including Scizor vs Feraligatr, and Umbreon against Typhlosion, teasing the strategic element of battles. A fun-looking Dodongo race minigame is also featured. Excitingly, the mythical Pokemon Celebi is shown to be joining the battles. Another key feature revealed is Kamon's Room, allowing players to view their own room within the game. This preview from Space World emphasizes the link to Pokemon Gold and Silver and the ability to experience these features on the N64. This page is a promotional preview for Perfect Dark on the Nintendo 64. The page highlights the storyline set in the year 2023, where the Carrington Institute, after a long internal investigation, receives a plea from a scientist at the Datadyne Corporation regarding internal whistleblowing and personal safety. As a result, they decide to send in new elite operative Joanna Dark to infiltrate Datadyne's headquarters to secure the scientist's safety. There are screenshots showing in-game scenes, such as Joanna in action, a helicopter approaching Datadyne, a hovercopter, and office scenes. The page also features a profile of Joanna Dark, stating her age as 23+. The right side panel details the game information for Nintendo 64, listing the title as Perfect Dark, the publisher as Nintendo, the release date as October 21st, and the price is 5,800 yen for the software alone, or 7,800 yen for a bundle with the memory expansion pack. It is categorized as a 3D gun action genre for 1 to 4 players, and notes that the memory expansion pack is required to play. The text also excitedly announces the release date is finally set, and players can enjoy the game next month, emphasizing that development is 100% complete. This page is about Perfect Dark on the N64. It introduces Joanna Dark, the protagonist who is a special agent. The game emphasizes stealth and avoiding unnecessary combat, focusing on infiltrating areas, disabling security systems, and using surveillance cameras. A gadget called Cam Spy, a small camera, is highlighted for infiltration, taking pictures, and even opening doors. The page also describes the 4-player multiplayer mode, featuring various battle types like combat and capture the flag. Several weapons are shown, including the Falcon 2, crossbow, sniper rifle, R-launcher, hand grenade, shotgun, and CMP-150. A play review in Space World section compares the game to GoldenEye 007, noting the gameplay system is similar and praising the engaging 4-player battles and challenging difficulty. This page is focused on the N64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. It highlights that the game is nearing completion, with development at 100% just before Space World. The page details the game's story, which involves a food crisis due to population increase, leading to the creation of new life forms for food. However, aggressive creatures called ruffians emerge, causing chaos. The story focuses on how humanity will deal with this situation. Character introductions are provided for Saki Amamiya, the leader of the rescue group, Aaron Joe, who was attacked by ruffians but rescued by Saki, and a mysterious girl named Achi, who leads the rescue group and has healing powers, being referred to as a saint. The page also describes the Armed Volunteer Group, an international peacekeeping force, and the ruffians, aggressive creatures born from modified organisms, capable of taking various forms, posing a threat across land, sea, and air. Screenshots from the opening scene and gameplay are also shown. This page highlights the N64 game, Rakuga Kids. The game is described as a stage-based action shooting game, where you fight against the Lufian group who are invading Tokyo. Gameplay involves shooting and event scenes, utilizing the 3D stick for movement and Z-trigger for attacks. You can switch characters using the C buttons. A training mode is included for beginners, and the difficulty is adjustable. The page emphasizes boss battles, noting that the Lutefians appear in various forms and have diverse attack patterns. There is also mention of fighting against armed volunteers, indicating they are also enemies, and a story that unfolds with mysteries. Screenshots showcase battles against these volunteers and aerial combat. A play review from Space World describes the game as popular with long queues, offering 10-minute play sessions. The reviewer enjoyed the game and mentions the 2-player co-op mode as something to look forward to. They felt absorbed while playing and enjoyed the challenging nature of the game. This page is dedicated to the Nintendo 64 game Rockman DASH, known as Mega Man Legends internationally. It's presented as a 3D action-adventure, where players explore 3D environments with Rockman. The page highlights that it's a port from the PlayStation version, and questions if it will showcase the true potential of the N64 in 3D. It also mentions the game is 90% complete in development. Screenshots show gameplay scenes and characters including Rockman, Roll, and other figures from the game. Key details listed include the developer Capcom, a planned November release, a price of 6,800 yen, the genre as free-running RPG, single-player mode, and support for the Vibration Pack. The headline proclaims, "Seeking the Great Legacy, Rock's new adventure begins." This page is a preview for the N64 game Mega Man Legends, known in Japan as Rockman Dash. Steel Adventure Heart. The game is set in a future world where most continents are underwater, and people called Daiguters explore ruins for relics. The main character, Rock Volnut, is a Daiguter searching for a great legacy with Roll Casket. The page introduces key characters. Rock Volnut is the main Daiguter, while Roll Casket is his mechanic support and childhood friend. Kobun are small robots belonging to the Tron family. Tron is the eldest daughter of the Bone family, a 14-year-old mechanical genius who designs combat mechs and airships. The Bone Brothers are a trio of villains, led by Diesel Bone, seeking treasure. Data is Barrel's pet monkey who seems to understand Rock. Barrel is Roll's grandfather, a legendary retired Daiguter who now advises Rock and Roll. Screenshots depict gameplay moments in a sea dungeon, a resource-rich area where reflectors are valuable and become currency or energy, and a battle scene with a robot enemy called Ferdinand. The review at the bottom mentions that this N64 version is a near-perfect port from the PlayStation version, improving on the original's rough graphics and offering smoother visuals. The reviewer also notes that the voice acting is faithfully carried over and that the game is enjoyable for both newcomers and returning players. This page highlights Banjo-Kazooie 2 for the N64. Advertised at Nintendo Space World 2000. It emphasizes the return of the famous duo, with even more new actions, promising more fun. The game is listed as an action title, supporting 12 players and Rumble Pack, with a scheduled December release at a price of 6,800 yen. Development is stated to be 90% complete. The article teases powered-up actions and the ability to control Banjo and Kazooie separately, which is described as both challenging and interesting. Screenshots showcase varied stages and gameplay, including puzzle elements, diverse environments, and unique enemies. One screenshot hints at the return of the witch Gruntilda. The preview section titled Play Review in Space World mentions that playing the game feels definitively like Banjo-Kazooie, with a resemblance to Donkey Kong but ultimately closer to Mario, reassuring fans of the Banjo style. It praises the abundance of new and enjoyable actions, and recommends the game for action game enthusiasts. The preview also wonders if Banjo's sister will make an appearance in this installment. The preview is credited to editor Massey. This page is a preview for the N64 game Mario Party 3. It highlights the game as having 70 minigames, calling it the definitive party game and the third installment in the series. The article mentions new features and improved board game elements, ensuring excitement for players. It also showcases a new dual map feature where players can move with partner characters, noting Mario and Luigi as examples. The preview includes details such as the game being for 1 to 4 players, compatible with the Rumble Pack, and scheduled for release in December at a price of 5,800 yen. Screenshots are shown of minigames, including a Tarzan race for 1 vs 1 battles, a 4-player Thwomp puzzle, a new Booze House Roulette gambling minigame, and a snowball jumping minigame. A preview in Space World section shares impressions from playing the game at the event, stating it was very enjoyable, especially with family, and highly recommends it as a staple game for the end of year holidays. An editor's note also mentions using Wario and Mash. This page is all about the N64 game Mickey's Speedway USA. It highlights this racing game featuring popular Disney characters like Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy. The page mentions it's similar to Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing, so players familiar with those games will easily pick it up. It supports up to 4 players, promising fun races with friends. The screenshots show gameplay with items and drifting mechanics. There's also a note that in 2-player mode, the screen is split in half, and in 4-player mode, it is split into quarters. A play review in Space World section indicates positive impressions, noting the fun of playing with Disney characters and the well-made racetracks, with an editor named Wario giving it a high score. The game was 90% complete at the time of this preview. The next page introduces Modern Great Strategy Ultimate War for the N64, a strategy simulation game where you become a commander and use modern weaponry. It highlights key game systems like the OT system, Operation Time, which seems to be a cost for unit actions such as movement, combat, and supply. The movement and command link system allows units to move freely and emphasizes the importance of the command link. The air combat phase is also featured, allowing for direct control of aircraft and a separate phase after ground battles, requiring pre-battle mission assignments. The page also includes a play review from Spaceworld, praising the realistic battle scenes, unit movements, and the live display during combat, suggesting a high degree of freedom and strategic depth. The game is described as the latest in a sophisticated modern warfare SLG series and is 95% complete in development. The game details listed on the page show it's for 14 players, 256 megabytes in size, and was slated for release in autumn 2000 by Media Factory, but the price was undecided. The next page focuses on Custom Robo V2 for the Nintendo 64. It highlights that the game is a robot action RPG, and the scenario this time is in two parts, taking place 1 year after the previous game, with Journey Edition and Fierce Fighting Edition. The game introduces new weapons, including multi-bullet guns and speed-increasing bullets, and mentions a new aerial dash feature using stealth. The page showcases a variety of unique robots, such as Ray, Wilson, Heptan, Wolfen, Annie, Parrot, and Javelin. It also details the addition of 4-player tag matches, where you can team up for 2-on-2 battles. The game is listed as being 95% complete and is slated for release on November 10th, priced at 6,800 yen, supporting 1 to 4 players and the Rumble Pack. This page showcases 2 Nintendo 64 games being previewed. The top section details Animal Leader, a provisional title, an action game where you play as an animal fighting to survive and climb to the top of the animal kingdom. It emphasizes the core action of biting and features blocky, unique animal characters. The preview mentions the game was playable, and the reviewer, Massey, found the world indescribable and encourages players to experience it firsthand, noting that becoming king of beasts is a real challenge. The lower section introduces Echo Delta, a real-time simulation strategy game for 12 players. It's described as an 18-minute eternal hell simulation, set underwater, challenging players to sink enemy ships within a time limit, using limited resources on procedurally generated maps. The review highlights the tense 18-minute gameplay and the strategic depth, with Massey noting that players might get hooked on perfecting their strategies for this intense underwater battle experience. Both games are previewed at Spaceworld. This page reveals information about the Game Boy Color version of Dragon Quest II, titled Dragon Quest II On, and thus Into the Legend. It highlights that this version is a revival of the Super Famicom version, emphasizing its faithful recreation in GB color with enhanced graphics and new features. Key points include faithful recreation. The game aims to perfectly reproduce the Super Famicom version, including GB color graphics and monster animations. New elements. Dragon Quest II will feature new elements like personality diagnosis and a job change system, allowing players to change jobs. Time progression from day to night will also influence gameplay. Monster Medals. A new gameplay feature unique to the GB version is introduced. Monster Medals. Players can collect over 150 types of medals by defeating monsters, adding a collection element. Battle scenes. Battle scenes are described as filling the screen with smooth monster animations and diverse attacks. Magic effects are also highlighted, specifically mentioning the powerful Gigadane spell. Screenshots. The page features screenshots showcasing locations like Engine Castle and Japan Cave, as well as battle scenes with monster sprites and stat information. It also shows the personality diagnosis and the time progression features visually. Release information. The game's release date and price are still undecided at the time of publication, but it is confirmed to be an RPG for 1 player with a 32M capacity. Enix is listed as the publisher. This page is showcasing special stickers, primarily featuring Furai no Shiren 2, Oni Shura Shiren Jiao, which translates to Shiren the Wanderer 2, but was not released internationally. Stickers depict characters from this game. There are also Pokemon stickers of Lugia and Hu from Pokemon Stadium Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Additionally, GameCube demo screenshots are presented as stickers, featuring games such as Zelda, Luigi's Mansion, Mario, Metroid, and Pokemon, and finally stickers for Mario Story, known as Paper Mario internationally, and WWF WrestleMania 2000. This page celebrates the 50th issue and the 4th anniversary of the publication. There's an announcement of winners for a Game Boy Color prize draw, with colors including black, orange, and Giants color. An editor mentions that they put extra effort into issue 50, especially changing the style for the new hardware section at the beginning. Reader letters discuss sharing an N64 console with friends, waiting for the Giants baseball team results, and playing Mario Tennis using finger sacks because the 3D stick can hurt fingers, recommending the Hori Mini-Pad as a finger-friendly alternative. The page also features an illustration special section, showcasing reader-submitted artwork related to various games, including what looks like Zelda and Pokemon, and a winner announcement for the NSW2K Handbook Prize Draw, with a list of 10 winners. The publication is inviting readers to send in their questions, queries, and illustrations. This page is from a fan club magazine section and starts with some sad news for fans, announcing that the development of Mother 3 for the 64DD has been cancelled. Moving on to happier topics, there's a section dedicated to Mario's story, which is likely referring to Paper Mario, expressing thanks for enjoyable adventures, and mentioning a year-end party and karting in the spring. A Child's Play review is featured, titled Mario and Me and a Little Courage, where a 6-year-old describes playing a Mario game, feeling like a companion of Mario, and bravely fighting alongside him. The page then shifts to Zelda news, noting that before the GameCube Zelda, there's the Game Boy Color's Oracle of Seasons/Ages to enjoy, and they will also be discussing Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, inviting readers to send in illustrations. There's excitement over a demo of the GameCube's Link vs. Ganon, with fans deeply impressed. Finally, there's a section for Fighter Emblem, hinting at a subtitle, Dark Priestess, which is intriguing, suggesting beautiful graphics and anticipation for Tactics Ogre Gaiden as well, with a question asking readers their thoughts. Lastly, it's announced that new works are coming to the GBA, with 27 pages dedicated to GBA content, and a mention of Lawson Stores and Sankus, suggesting perhaps game availability there. The GBA section seems to feature art and comments related to a Fire Emblem game, with characters and positive impressions being shared. This page features fan discussions and submissions, centered around various Nintendo games. Mother FC laments the cancellation of the Mother series. Supura Bura FC displays fan art, mentioning a lack of NSW2K news. Pokemon ZFC discusses Pokemon Crystal, speculating on mobile trading and the Crystal Tower. Golds/Silver Pokemon Strengthening Method offers training tips. Kirby FC discusses Koro Koro Kirby, a rolling game, and anticipates a new Kirby game on future hardware. Fox ZFC expresses disappointment over Fox's absence from an NGC demo and hopes for a new Star Fox game. Postcard submissions feature art from games like Custom Robo and Star Fox, with a general call for more fan submissions. Finally, there's an announcement for 64Dream Volume 50 and a giveaway. This page features a manga comic strip titled Dream Drunker Gaiden, Black Memory, by Shigehisa Nakawe. At the top, there's a small note from the author mentioning they found a nostalgic reader postcard and apologizing for not being able to reply to readers recently. The comic strip itself is a comedic action sequence, with characters in a fantasy-style setting. It depicts a chaotic scene with characters yelling and fighting. One character is ordered to eliminate intruders but then told to stop. They encounter very strong enemies who are surprisingly fighting amongst themselves. The characters try to retreat, but are stopped by another character who declares they will defeat them. The strip concludes with someone wondering about the whereabouts of a character named Amos. Although not explicitly referencing a specific N64 game, the style and humor are in line with the gaming culture of the N64 period. This page is a humorous manga strip, and the characters seem to be based on the Legend of Zelda series. We see a character resembling Link and a dark, imposing figure, possibly a villain. The story involves the dark figure dramatically appearing and scaring Link, who initially mistakes him for someone else, and then gets frightened. The bottom section of the page seems to be a diary-style report about attending Space World, mentioning it was blessed with good weather and very hot. It describes the event as being so tiring that by the third day, the writer felt almost dead. The writer advises everyone to eat properly, even when busy. Click. The diary entries for days 1 to 4 mention going to Space World, the sunny weather, game queues, and the fatigue setting in by day 4. It ends with a warning that it's most dangerous to let your guard down when you are tired. This page appears to be a manga comic strip related to the game The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The comic shows Link and other characters encountering a monster that emerges in a cloud of dark smoke within a temple. The characters discuss the nature of the monster, revealing it is a guardian of the temple, capable of transforming into intruders, and seems to be part of a trap. They express concern about the monster's ability to disguise itself again. A comedic manga strip features characters from a fantasy RPG reacting to a large, imposing figure. Smaller sections showcase fan art, including drawings by Harp, Shiga Prefecture, Morisato Meguro, Chiba Prefecture, with Mario and Luigi, and Shioya Yuka, Hyogo Prefecture, with Princess Peach and Daisy. The page also announces the upcoming conclusion of the Extra Edition and an increase in featured game titles. The magazine considers restarting the Dream Doron car feature and solicits reader requests for stage settings and new software. The editorial staff expresses their busyness and anticipates continued hard work next month. This page features a Hobo Rock Yanryu Copy section dedicated to humorous reader submissions inspired by Nintendo 64 games. Hobo Copy offers parodies and funny takes on characters and game elements. Sections are dedicated to Donkey Kong, jokes about his strength and banana obsession, Star Fox 64, humorous descriptions of Fox, and Pichu, Pokemon, with gags about its evolution and electric abilities. The editor thanks readers, highlighting submissions with references to Dragonash and Pikachu's electric power. The page also introduces Body Copy, encouraging funny text additions to images. Future submission themes include Siren, Waluigi, and the Game Boy Advance. Readers are encouraged to submit illustrations and body copies via postcard or email to 64Dream Hobo Copy in charge. This page is an advertisement for Furai no Shiren 2, Undo no Dungeon, which translates to Shiren the Wanderer 2, Mystery Dungeon for the Nintendo 64. It's described as a dungeon RPG developed by Chunsoft and published by Nintendo, slated for release on September 27th for 6,800 yen. The advert highlights it as a highly addictive dungeon RPG and features screenshots showing the game's characters and monster designs within the Mystery Dungeon gameplay style. It emphasizes the challenging yet captivating nature of the adventure. This title was exclusive to Japan and was not released internationally. This page introduces Furai no Shiren 2. Oni Shirai, Shirenjo, a Japanese-exclusive N64 game which is part of the Shiren the Wanderer series. It highlights the game's story, where the young wanderer Shiren finds himself in Natane village and ends up building a castle to prepare for the attack of demons from Shootin' Mountain. Featured characters include Shiren himself, his talking weasel companion Koppa, and other allies like Himakichi, a kappa who can use items in water, Riku who fights with a slingshot, and Asuka who wields a sword. The page also details the game's controls, explaining how to move using the D-pad, use actions with the A and B buttons, access menus with the C button unit, and manage items using triggers and windows. Screenshots show dungeon exploration and the item menu system. This page introduces the core gameplay of the Mystery Dungeon series, specifically focusing on Shiren the Wanderer 2 for the Nintendo 64. It explains that each dungeon is procedurally generated, meaning maps, item placements, and enemy locations change every time you enter, ensuring fresh gameplay. The page details that while character-level progression is persistent, even if you leave the dungeon, death inside results in losing all items collected within that run, except for special Keijimi no Tsubo items. The game operates on a turn-based system, where every action you take, from moving and attacking to using items, consumes one turn, and enemies also act on their turn. Managing hunger is crucial, indicated by a percentage. Actions deplete hunger, and reaching zero hunger leads to fainting. Rice balls, onigiri, replenish hunger. Items found in dungeons are initially unidentified, requiring identification scrolls or similar methods to reveal their properties. The page uses screenshots to illustrate these points, showing dungeon maps, combat scenarios, and item management interfaces. This text describes various traps found in a dungeon-crawling game, likely Shiren the Wanderer. These traps pose a significant threat to players, sometimes more so than the monsters. The page details several trap types, including spike pits, poison arrow traps, landmines, smelly swamps that rot food, equipment removal traps, strength-draining water pots, rolling logs, rust-inducing Kero rain, sleeping gas traps, and pitfall traps that cause fall damage. The effects range from direct damage and status ailments, like poison and sleep, to equipment degradation and resource loss. The text stresses the importance of player caution and preparation when navigating dungeons, and hints at the possibility of using traps to the player's strategic advantage against monsters. This guide details new traps and dogu statues in dungeons. The Summon Switch trap triggers monster swarms, while the Great Flood trap washes away characters and items. Traps can be triggered by stepping on them, or remotely using items or attacks. Eye Drop Grass helps reveal hidden traps. Dogu statues have unique effects. The long throw Dogu allows ranged attacks. The trip Dogu causes items to drop. The Onigiri Dogu turns defeated monsters into rice balls. The big explosion Dogu explodes when attacked. The blowaway Dogu deflects attacks. The Gitan Dogu converts defeated monsters into money. Based on the content, this likely refers to gameplay elements from Mystery Dungeon. Shiren the Wanderer 2. This guide details various monsters in Shiren the Wanderer 2, categorized by their appearances and behaviors. Common foes include Chintara and its evolved form, Chao Chintara. Cute monsters like Mamoru and Anagura Mamoru are also present. Some monsters have unique attacks, such as Karobozu's Parasol, Marujiro's Rolling, and Shioyan's strength-draining Lick. Others utilize ranged attacks, like Bowyer's Arrows and Uma Musha's Silver Arrows. Special abilities include Haraharinyo's Fullness Reduction, Nigiri Minarai and Nigiri Henka's Item Transformation, and Induba's Item Mimicry. Some monsters, like Tiger Uho, manipulate Siren and the environment. Sweet Kamalu and Jiraiya set traps, while Shaga is a multi-armed snake. Hitsuji Shinkan and Yagi Shinkan weaken Siren. Otto Hei and Otto Gunso are aquatic enemies. Finally, Gamala steals money, Keizu confuses with light, and Mr. Boone and Mr. Hariko drop grass. Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion. Shiren Castle begins with the Small Valley Dungeon, a 3-story challenge introducing gameplay. The primary goal is to build a castle. After visiting Natane Village and Mumimyu's Udon Shop, players will learn about castle construction. Players must gather materials in the Road of Materials dungeon, process them on Shootin' Mountain, and then return to Natane Village to build the castle. Natane Village serves as a base, offering facilities like the training ground for leveling and the warehouse for storing items. The warehouse is vital, as items found in dungeons cannot be kept. The guide emphasizes the importance of the first dungeon for learning basic controls and experimenting with items. Players encounter monsters like Mamul and Chintara. Finally, the guide includes a tip on dashing quickly. The next page is about the game Shiren the Wanderer, focusing on the Shootin' Mountain Path dungeon. It introduces the dungeon as beginner level and mentions the goal is to reach the Shootin' Mountain summit. The page is divided into sections for different dungeon levels. 12F. Fresh Green, Forest. This section is described as a shuffle dungeon, where powerful monsters appear. It advises players to gather items and be cautious. The monster list includes Mamoru and Chintara. It mentions that in 1F, the Chokin no Tsubo, saving pot, item is guaranteed to drop. It recommends leveling up in this area. 34F Bamboo Forest Wilderness. This is also a shuffle dungeon. It states that the recommended level for Shiren is the same as the dungeon floor or higher, suggesting level 3 or above for 3F. Monsters listed are Kero Ojisan, Ashigarudan, Yamikichi, Oshioyan, and Pikotan. It advises players to proceed cautiously and gain experience. 56F, Desolate Mineshaft. This is a random dungeon. It mentions that traps start to become more frequent here. It recommends luring enemies to wider rooms. The monster list includes Pikoten, Marujiru, Sweet Kimal, and Hararinyo. It advises players to be well equipped with stronger weapons before entering. The page provides gameplay screenshots and monster lists for each section, giving players guidance for navigating the early stages of the Shootin' Mountain Path in Shiren the Wanderer. The game was released as Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle, in Japan only for the Nintendo 64. This guide details the Shootin' Mountain area of Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon. It starts in Middle Belly Village, where players can strengthen their swords and abilities at the smithy. Progressing through the dungeon, floors 7F, Indignation of the Endlessly Deep Swamp Shuffle Dungeon, and 8F, Bottom of the Milky Way Cave Dungeon, feature unique challenges and strong enemies. Players are advised to navigate carefully on 7Fs to avoid falling, and to defeat enemies swiftly on 8Fs, especially the horse-riding Musha. Floors 9 and 10, Narrow Valley Mountain Path Shuffle Dungeon, require quick clearing and liberal use of items like Ikazuchi's Guardian Charm and Dragon Herb, due to higher enemy strength. At the Shootin' Mountain summit, the guide recommends visiting the weapons shop for material processing and the bank for money deposits. This page introduces the intermediate level of the game, Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren, to Oni Shurai, Shiren-ju, part of the Mystery Dungeon series, where players progress from Natan Village to Chufuku Village in the Shuten Mountain Path. It highlights the differences between the beginner and intermediate levels, mentioning stronger monsters and the introduction of undiscovered weapons and armor. These unidentified items, like Nagamaki and Leather Shield, have unknown stats until identified. The page explains the transformation staff, which is a key item in the intermediate level for changing items. It also details a material system with varying qualities, like normal, good, best, and supreme, affecting weapon durability. Finally, it warns players that traps and monsters become more challenging in this stage, showing a chaotic battle scene. This guide details dungeon strategies for a roguelike game, likely similar to Shiren the Wanderer. Floors 12F, Quiet Rock Cave, introduces stronger enemies like Mamoru and Foot Kettle Drums, but is still relatively easy, advising hallway-based combat. Floors 34F, Murmuring Valley, features flying Yamikichi, more open spaces, and long corridors, suggesting trap usage at entrances. Floors 5F, Ultramarine Cave, highlights Bow Wow enemies that attack from a distance. Avoid lining up with them, and use corridors for retreat if they level up. A Scroll of Heavenly Blessing is also found here. Floor 67F, Muddy Bay, is flooded, introducing Ototo soldiers who heal in water, requiring players to lure them onto land. Gaizu monsters cause unwanted actions, prompting the use of revival grass if affected. Players are advised to defeat Oto soldiers and Mr. Hariko for items like happiness grass. This page is dedicated to the Nintendo 64 game Mario Story, known internationally as Paper Mario. It highlights the Flowerland area of the game, showcasing it as the next destination for Mario after returning to Mushroom Town from Jean Paul Island. The page details the game's release on August 11th as an action RPG for one player, utilizing a backup cartridge and being compatible with the Rumble Pack. The story context explains that Mario is needed in Flowerland because the flowers are in trouble, with Lipchans seeking him out. A map of Flowerland is featured, divided into 7 zones, each with a name such as Hanako, Yuri, Barbara, Mr. Sun, Trap, and Kobach, and small preview screenshots of each area. This page is a walkthrough guide for Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64. The guide provides step-by-step instructions for progressing through the Flowerland area of the game. It details obtaining key items such as the Bean Seed, Red Berry, Yellow Berry, Blueberry, Crystal Berry, Waterstone, and Soapberry. The guide instructs players to interact with characters like Hanako, Yuri, Suarine, and Barbara, and to defeat enemies like Chocobi and the Kumo Kumo machine. It also explains how to recruit Pokepi as an ally, use Pokepi to navigate traps, and ultimately plant the Bean Seed to advance further in Paper Mario. This page is about the game Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. It highlights different parts of the game, starting with a boss called Osmoon, a large cloud character who is causing trouble in the Whirlwind area. The guide explains that Osmoon is fought at the top of a large tree, and suggests using special skills that can attack multiple parts of his body at once. The page then moves on to describe gameplay sections, mentioning the mysterious castle, where you get a useful item. It also covers the areas of Kanoko Town and Samui Village, talking about rescuing villagers and heading towards Koopa's location. Stage 7, described as To the Farthest Land, is introduced as the next destination for Mario. A mystery unfolds in Samui Village, where the village chief is found dead and Mario is initially suspected. However, it turns out there was no murder, and the situation is resolved. Finally, the page mentions the appearance of a scary little bastard, suggesting another enemy encounter in the game. The guide encourages players to defeat this new foe. This page is a game guide for Mario Story, which was released internationally as Paper Mario, focusing on the Samui Village, Starborn Valley, and Crystal Shrine areas. The guide explains how to reach the Crystal Shrine and what to expect inside. To get to the Crystal Shrine, players need to give specific items to snowmen. One snowman requires a muffler called the Tensetsu no Muffler, and another needs a wonderful bucket. These items are likely found in Samui Village. Once inside the Crystal Shrine, the guide indicates it's like an ice mirror maze, and players will encounter puzzles. It suggests observing carefully and trying different partners to solve them, warning against rushing ahead without thinking. There's a hint about red and blue switches inside the shrine, and moving deeper into the shrine by interacting with animal statues. Finally, the guide introduces a boss named Paralur, described as a boss-like enemy. It advises players to use items and star spirits effectively in the battle, especially noting Parallor's annoying attacks. The screenshot shows Mario battling Parallor and suggests using Oppuku, likely a partner character, and jump attacks. It also highlights being careful about HP in this battle. This guide covers the final battle in Super Mario 64, culminating in a confrontation with Bowser. Players must navigate Bowser's castle, utilizing switches activated by enemies and paying close attention to the environment, as paths can be deceptive. The guide emphasizes puzzle elements involving quizzes and water manipulation, while also stressing the importance of trying alternative routes when stuck. The boss battle section details 2 encounters with Bowser. The first requires using the Star Flash to break his invincibility. The second fight demands caution and item usage. The guide concludes by celebrating Bowser's defeat, restoring peace, and thanking the player and their companions for their efforts, marking the end of the game. The next page is an article titled, "To the Overseas Reaction of the New Nintendo Hardware That Appeared in Tokyo." This article discusses the Nintendo GameCube, particularly focusing on the overseas reception after its unveiling at Space World. It mentions that specific game titles for the GameCube were not publicly announced at that time, and the focus was on demonstrating the console's capabilities through familiar characters and gameplay. The article highlights that Nintendo emphasized the importance of game itself. It notes the strong overseas press reaction at the presentation, particularly regarding the image quality and the reactions to game footage of games like Link, Metroid, and Luigi. Metroid in particular seems to have generated a very positive response with comments like, "What I was waiting for has finally come." The article also touches upon the Game Boy Advance, mentioning that while it was also showcased at Space World, the GameCube was the main attraction. It suggests that the GameCube generated more buzz and attention due to its advanced capabilities. The article also briefly mentions the Game.com handheld and its less favorable reception in Japan compared to overseas. Overall, the article conveys a sense of anticipation and excitement for the GameCube's future release, especially in light of the positive overseas response to its initial unveiling. This page is the first lesson in a series titled GameCube Dissection. The article features a character called the Death Immortal Man and focuses on the newly announced Nintendo GameCube, previously codenamed Dolphin. It contrasts the GameCube's design with the N64, noting a shift from an American design sensibility to a more Japanese one. The article highlights the GameCube's disc media, boasting a capacity 190 times greater than a Mario 64 cartridge, which is 1.5 gigabytes, and emphasizes the potential for new gaming experiences. The lower cost of disc production compared to ROM cartridges is mentioned as a benefit for game developers, and the possibility of trial version discs is also brought up. The text discusses complaints from programmers about the N64's difficult development environment, suggesting the GameCube will be more user-friendly for developers and hinting that this could help Nintendo regain market dominance. The page includes an illustration showing a stack of discs, emphasizing the large data capacity of a single GameCube disc being equivalent to 190 copies of Mario 64 in cartridge form. This page is a question and answer section for readers. One question asks about the difference between byte and bit, which the magazine explains as units of data, with 8 bits equaling 1 byte. It clarifies that ROM cartridges use bits for capacity, while media like CD-ROMs and DVDs use bytes. Another question asks about MPU, and the magazine explains it stands for Microprocessing Unit, essentially the same as CPU, or Central Processing Unit, noting that older GameCube documentation might use MPU. The page also has a section called Death Wizard Returns this month, which mentions that page count has increased, and they will introduce like questions and fan letters. There is also a question recruitment section encouraging readers to send in questions about N64, GB, GameCube, and other related topics. The next page is from the N64Dream Club section, and it's titled N64 Forum. It's all about reader letters. The main buzz is around the recent announcement of the GameCube on August 24th. Readers are sharing their thoughts, with one person mentioning seeing demo footage online and being impressed. They're talking about the GameCube being Nintendo-like in its design and colors, and wondering if it'll appeal to a wide audience. There's discussion about the controller design and how it feels good to hold, praising its design. Someone mentions the demo footage and how it looked great. People are also discussing the move from cartridges to discs, specifically 8cm discs for the GameCube, with one person feeling it's sufficient storage, unless you're making CG movies. The page also talks about Space World, a game show event, mentioning it took place on August 27th, the final day. Apparently, it coincided with the release date of a new RPG, drawing a lot of attention and causing some crowding. They talk about the Space World Handbook and how it was popular. The writer also mentions seeing a lot of cosplayers at the event, listing characters like Link, Ghost Link, Malin, Rocket Gang, Captain Falcon, and Mario, emphasizing how authentic they looked. It sounds like it was a pretty packed event, with lots of people and cosplayers dressed up. This page is the Reader's Questionnaire section. It features responses from readers about various topics. One section is about Mother 3 and the announcement of its development being canceled. The article discusses fan reactions and opinions regarding this cancellation and what they think of Nintendo's approach to game development. Another section of the page showcases reader feedback and opinions under the title Reader's Questionnaire Answers. Some readers' comments are featured, covering a variety of topics, including their experiences at Space World, a game event, and enjoying various games there. There's mention of muscle pain after dancing like Camaro, and a comment about finding a snake in a cockroach trap. The page also includes a small boxed section with a reader's submission about their experience at Space World, mentioning they played many games and had a lot of fun despite being tired. This page is a price survey from Akihabara for Nintendo 64 games, highlighting the game prices in various stores. It mentions that while some N64 games are still ranking high in sales, the overall sales for the platform are slow compared to others. Stores are reducing their stock of N64 games, leading to many titles being sold out and hard to find. The article points out that Mario Story, Paper Mario, saw a price drop to 3,980 yen just 10 days after release due to overestimated sales, but the price stabilized afterwards. It suggested the price might drop further, as stores still have a lot of stock. Ridge Racer 64 is noted as being affordable at 3,980 yen and is recommended for its 4-player mode, especially for fans of the series. The page also features a table listing numerous N64 games with their Akihabara prices, including titles like Castlevania 64, Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, Weetrix, Wave Race 64, Excitebike 64, F-Zero X, and Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. The page also mentions Mario Tennis and Excitebike as examples of games being discussed. There is also an image of Ridge Racer 64 game box and cartridge with an adapter, likely referring to the need for an adapter to play Japanese N64 games on non-Japanese consoles. This page presents a price list from Akihabara GB Soft for Nintendo 64 games. It details a wide range of titles with their genres, regular prices, Akihabara prices, release dates, publishers, player numbers, controller pack requirements, vibration pack, and battery backup compatibility, and other notes. Some of the notable N64 games listed include wrestling games like Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, fighting games like Fighter's Destiny, racing games such as Beetle Adventure Racing, and adventure titles like Banjo-Kazooie. Many games are marked with compatibility for controller packs for saving, and some mention battery backup or vibration functionality. Some titles have notes such as M indicating memory expansion pack support, GBP for 64 GB pack support, or VRS suggesting compatibility with a voice recognition system. Below the main N64 price lists is a section dedicated to Game Boy software prices at Akihabara GB Soft. This smaller list features titles like RPG Tsukuru GB, Koro Koro Kirby, Zelda no Densetsu, Yume o Miru Shima DX, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, and Dance Dance Revolution GB. This page showcases a Nintendo Power SFC and GB software rewrite list, essentially a catalog of games available to be written onto flash cartridges and Nintendo Power kiosks. It's broken down into alphabetical sections and lists games for both Super Famicom and Game Boy. For each game, it specifies the F and B block sizes, the maker, and the price, which is consistently 1,000 yen or 2,000 yen in most cases. Games like Super Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3, Super Metroid, Street Fighter II Turbo, Rockman 7, and various Doraemon titles are listed for SFC. For Game Boy, titles such as Game Boy Gallery 3, Super Mario Land 2, Kirby's Block Ball, and others are presented. This page serves as a price list and game selection guide for Nintendo Power users looking to customize their flash cartridges with desired games. This page is from the Nintendo Space World $2,000 event, a special presentation and interview edition. It highlights the unveiling of the Nintendo GameCube as the successor to the Nintendo 64, and also features the next-generation handheld console, the Game Boy Advance. Nintendo is aiming to step into the 21st century with these new consoles, including a system called Mobile System GB. This special feature focuses on the new product announcements made at the last Nintendo Space World of the century. This page is a complete report on the Nintendo New Products presentation event held on August 24, 2000, at 3:40 p.m. Around 2,500 members of the press and distributors attended this very large-scale new product launch event. The event was significant, marking the first time in Nintendo's 110-year history to hold such a large-scale new product presentation domestically. The article highlights the excitement and anticipation for the next-generation console. The presenters included Atsushi Asada, Nintendo's Managing Director, Takehiro Takeda, General Manager of Integrated Research and Development Division, Shigeru Miyamoto, Managing Director and General Manager of Entertainment Analysis and Development Division. The presentation featured footage of various games including Luigi's Mansion, Metroid, Star Wars, Zelda's Legend, and Perfect Dark. The presenter, Mr. Takeda, emphasized that the Nintendo GameCube is a 21st century entertainment machine, showcasing the new console's capabilities. The article includes quotes from Mr. Asada discussing the concept of simple and deep, and Mr. Miyamoto mentioning the need for game ideas that utilize the hardware for a long time. The name Nintendo GameCube was announced at the event, and the design concept is described as coming from a cubic form factor. This page is a big special feature on the upcoming Nintendo Space World 2000 event, focusing on the newly announced Nintendo GameCube. The article highlights the design concept of the console, emphasizing its compact and simple form factor, perfect for bringing to the TV for gaming. It details the GameCube's use of a small 8 cm diameter disc with a 1.5 GB capacity, a new media format for Nintendo. The console will support SD memory cards using an adapter in the front slot. The article introduces the wireless controller, named Wavebird, which boasts a 10-meter range. Connectivity is also a key focus, with mentions of a broadband adapter for network gaming and a digital video cable for improved TV output. The piece touches upon Nintendo's reflections from the N64 era, acknowledging the challenges of N64 game development and aiming for a smoother development experience with the GameCube. The design aims to be fashionable and compact, merging home and portable gaming ideas for the 21st century. Mention is also made of modem support, including 56K, 90K, and analog modem options. This page highlights the unveiling of the Nintendo GameCube controller at Nintendo Space World 2000. It features an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, a key figure in Nintendo's software development. Miyamoto discusses the design philosophy behind the new controller, emphasizing its evolution from the Nintendo 64 controller, aiming for a balance of simplicity and versatility. The controller design is explained with numbered points, detailing features like the button layout with A, B, X, and Y buttons, the placement of L and R buttons, the Z trigger, and the Start/Pause button. The article mentions the keystick and D-pad, and the central analog stick. Miyamoto points out the comfortable grip and button arrangement meant for ease of use. There's talk about the vibration function and the future possibility of a wireless controller. The interview delves into the design process, reiterating the goal of making the controller intuitive and user-friendly. A screenshot from Luigi's Mansion is showcased, representing the kind of games designed for the GameCube. Miyamoto humorously notes the controller is transparent so you can see the insides, and it's lighter because batteries are not needed. This page is a feature about the Super Mario 128 tech demo that was showcased at Space World 2000. The article describes the demo and its visual capabilities, noting that it could use the Game Boy Advance as a controller, allowing for a controller with a screen. Screenshots illustrate the demo, showing a large number of Mario characters on screen at once, which is a point of discussion regarding the polygon count and processing power. The article highlights the visual effects like lighting and transparency, and compares the demo's technology to Super Mario 64, emphasizing the advancements made. The developers explain that they are pushing the hardware and exploring new ideas with this technology, which at the time was a demonstration of future possibilities. Even though Super Mario 128 itself never became a full game, its concepts contributed to later Nintendo titles. They discussed the visual improvements like making Mario appear like a manga character and experimenting with transparency effects, all while maintaining a stable frame rate. At Nintendo Space World 2000, Nintendo presented the GameCube, highlighting its development and capabilities. The presentation included tech demos like the Mario Chahan, a playful demonstration of the console's graphical power, showcasing features like cheese stretching and stage transformations. Nintendo discussed learning from the N64 to make the GameCube easier to develop for, emphasizing its potential for creative expression. They also showcased Nyarkaiser's Party, a CG animation from the Pokemon anime, demonstrating smooth playback and graphical fidelity, with monster models rendered at 40+ polygons. Interactive features, like real-time camera angle changes, were presented to highlight the console's interactive entertainment capabilities. The presentation concluded with expressions of gratitude to the audience, emphasizing the GameCube's potential for new entertainment experiences. This page is an interview with Nintendo's Vice President, Asada, discussing the upcoming Game Boy Advance. He highlights the GBA as the ultimate 2D game machine and details its features, including its 32-bit processor. The release date is set for March 21, 2001 in Japan, with a planned launch price of 9,800 yen. Asada discusses the history of Nintendo handhelds, the GBA's target sales figures, and the intention to support it with new software, while also ensuring compatibility with existing Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. The mobile adapter GB, set to be released alongside the GBA, is also mentioned, priced at 5,800 yen. In an interview about the upcoming GameCube, Shigeru Miyamoto reveals Nintendo's focus on family-friendly gaming experiences that extend beyond the hardcore gamer demographic. The console aims to provide fun and innovative gameplay, prioritizing engaging experiences over raw technical specifications. While specifics are downplayed, Miyamoto highlights the console's graphical capabilities, using Mario with 128 people as an example. The launch lineup anticipates around 5 games, potentially showcased at E3. Miyamoto also acknowledges the competition, including Xbox. Developers are targeting games that fully utilize the GameCube's hardware, with a strong emphasis on player enjoyment and impressive texture mapping and polygon display. The magazine page includes images of Miyamoto, hardware diagrams, and event photos, emphasizing the console's internal components, like the flipper and gecko. This page is a special feature from Space World 2000 that is discussing the upcoming GameCube and the future of N64 software. They are talking about the GameCube's technical abilities, highlighting its impressive polygon count and dedicated sound chips. Concerns about loading times are mentioned as an area of focus, but they are working on improvements. The choice of an 8 cm disc is explained as being suitable for both movies and games, and avoids the rental market. The development kit is mentioned as being reasonably priced, and software pricing strategies are being considered, with a potential retail price of 9,800 yen. Character business is highlighted as important to Nintendo, with Pokemon as a prime example. Regarding N64 software, it is noted that development is slowing down due to high costs. However, there is still a market for older consoles, and the difficult decision to potentially discontinue Mother 3, Earthbound 64, is mentioned. The page also shows images from the event. Image 5 features Takashi Miyamoto, the art director of The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, photographed near the Mystery Corner. Image 6 shows the scene at the Drawing Corner. Image 7 shows a signing event with Dream Editors, which became a popular gathering spot. Image 8 presents Matsumoto Gentaro, the animal manager, showcasing prototypes of cute character figures. This page features an interview with Mr. Imanishi, the NSW Operating Committee Chairman, discussing Nintendo Space World 2000. He reflects on the event's success, mentioning it was well received and even got a high evaluation. The interview covers various topics, including the preparations, the decision to showcase GameCube and Game Boy Advance, and the overall smooth operation despite some initial hiccups on the first day with the Celebi presentation. He notes that the event aimed to have visitors experience the games themselves. Future Space World events are planned around the same time each year, potentially during the summer holiday period. There are also image captions about people encountered at the event. Image 9 shows Mr. Sakurai from HAL Laboratory, known for Sumabura, Super Smash Bros., and other hit games, signing an autograph. Image 12 shows Mr. Sakamoto from the development department, playing Card Hero against another person outside the venue. This interview, Miyamoto-san and Tezuka-san's standing talk interview, covers several topics. Developers confirmed simultaneous software development for the Game Boy Advance and GameCube. They discussed Dobutsu no Mori, Animal Crossing, for both platforms, with a focus on beautiful visuals and color palettes. Miyamoto announced the cancellation of Mother 3 due to development difficulties and staff fatigue, despite aiming for a Christmas release. The interview also revealed the GameCube's internal codename, Dolphin. Finally, the The interview mentioned the GameCube's 1.5 GB disk capacity being sufficient. The page also features brief mentions of other topics, including promotional material for Pikachu Genki Denshu, reader experiences, and a comment, "Dawn is near." The next page covers the Nintendo Space World $2,000 event, highlighting the popularity of the N64 and Game Boy Experience corners. Last year, Pokemon Gold and Silver were the big games, but this year the focus is on a strong lineup of N64 and Game Boy Advance software. The GameCube was on display, though only for viewing and not playable, which was a bit disappointing. There's talk that playable versions might appear at E3. The popular Pokemon Crystal Stage event featured the Pokemon Uncle, and information on the upcoming mobile adapter GB, set to launch on December 14th. Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver Crystal are also planned for simultaneous release, suggesting the Pokemon craze will continue. A video for Darby Stallion 64 was showcased, emphasizing new features in the game, though it was video only. Family-friendly events were a hit, with free admission allowing everyone to enjoy the latest games, drawing in lots of families, including parents who seem to be having a good time too. This page reports on the Nintendo Space World 2000 event, highlighting several popular attractions and moments. The NSW2K handbook was a big hit, with people saying they made friends because of it, and getting signatures. A special Celebi distribution event for the first 100,000 attendees was also successful and well organized. The main stage events were a huge draw, featuring live shows by popular personalities, previews of the upcoming N64 game Pokemon Gold and Silver, exhibition matches, and a Mario Tennis 64 tournament. The stage was packed with people eager to see these events. Shigeru Miyamoto's appearance caused excitement and large crowds simply by him walking around the venue, and he was scheduled for a Super Channel interview in November. The longest wait time for game demos, specifically from Mario Party 3 and Hamtaro, was an hour and a half, with people still queuing for the Game Boy Advance booth, indicating its popularity. Despite the large crowds, the event concluded smoothly, without any major incidents, and there's anticipation for next year's event, possibly including the GameCube. Attendees left satisfied, taking home souvenirs from the event. This Nintendo Q&A page features several sections. A character profile details Bowser's origins in Super Mario Bros. On the Famicom, noting his initial design inspiration and alias, King Koopa. The page also addresses Nintendo Space World, reporting its success. The event showcased the Game Boy Advance, mobile adapter, and the Nintendo GameCube, successor to the N64, drawing 172,000 visitors. It was praised for its family-friendly atmosphere, even by returning staff from Rareware, suggesting a continued focus on family-oriented games. The page introduces Akisuke Sao, editor-in-chief of 64Dream, and the current navigator. Finally, a photo from Space World in Kyoto highlights the event's value as a source for the Q&A feature. Nintendo announced Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver Crystal for December 14th, with a potential Pokemon League event. Regarding the Game Boy Advance, GBA, they opted not to show it on monitors at Space World to preserve its visual appeal, emphasizing the crisp LCD screen. They will showcase the GBA's visuals via commercials and demo units at upcoming events like the Tokyo Game Show. Kaijin Zoner was highlighted as a key event at Space World. Further Celebi distribution in Pokemon Gold and Silver is being considered, possibly through Pokemon League events. Finally, the Dolphin development codename became the official Nintendo GameCube, chosen for its compact, cube-like design accommodating 8 cm discs and better name recognizability, while avoiding trademark conflicts. This page is part of the Ask Nintendo section and addresses questions about the upcoming Nintendo GameCube console. Firstly, it tackles the perceived size of the GameCube, clarifying that it is actually quite small, comparable to about 11 CD cases stacked together. Next, it explains the purpose of the handle on the GameCube, emphasizing that it's designed for easy portability and to encourage playing games anywhere, reflecting a friendly design concept. It's stated that adding a handle to a game console is a world first. The page then discusses the official abbreviation for Nintendo GameCube, suggesting that while various names like GC, G-Cube, or Cube might be used, Nintendo GameCube remains the official name. It draws a parallel to the Super Famicom and its common abbreviation. The weight of the GameCube is playfully kept a secret, hinting that the design is near final, but material choices are still under consideration. Finally, it confirms that the cordless controller, known as the Wavebird, will indeed require batteries. It mentions the Wavebird's impressive 10-meter range, but humorously questions how many Japanese homes have rooms large enough to fully utilize this feature. The article jokes about making friends with people who own large TVs and rooms. The Wavebird's grip is noted to be longer than the regular GC controller. This Q&A covers Nintendo-related news. The GameCube cannot play DVDs. A separate Panasonic DVD player was an option. Mother 3 for the N64 was cancelled due to scope limitations, though a novelization is possible. The Game Boy Advance release was delayed to November 21st due to high Game Boy Color demand and the upcoming Pokémon Gold and Silver release. No N64 Metroid sequel is planned. However, a GameCube Metroid was teased at an event, generating excitement, and is rumored to be in development in America. This page is an Ask Nintendo section answering reader questions. Question 15 asks about recommended features of the Game Boy Advance, and the answer highlights the 4-player battle capability, using Mario Kart Advance as an example. Question 16 is about Pokémon Crystal on Mobile System GB, asking if it's enjoyable without mobile connection. The answer states, it's fully enjoyable as a standalone game, like Pokémon Gold and Silver, but the mobile adapter GB enhances the experience. Question 17 asks if Fire Emblem 64 for GB Advance is in development. The response clarifies that unfortunately, Fire Emblem 64 will not be released on N64 due to hardware limitations, and the Fire Emblem series will be moving to the Game Boy Advance as a simulation RPG, mentioning a title called Fire Emblem, Maiden of Darkness, which is likely referring to Fire Emblem, The Binding Blade. Question 18 is about the sales of Mario Tennis 64, and the answer is very positive, stating sales are excellent and could reach 1 million, comparing its long seller status to Super Smash Bros. It mentions the game is easy to play, even for beginners using the A-B buttons, and that Mario Tennis 64 will connect with the Game Boy Advance title Mario Tennis GB from November 1st. This magazine page answers reader questions about Nintendo 64 games and merchandise. One question focuses on Sin and Punishment, confirming its November 21st release, highlighting its action-shooting gameplay, strong fanbase, immersive world, and collaboration between Treasure and another team. Another question explains the art style differences between the N64 and Game Boy Color versions of The Legend of Zelda due to hardware limitations, emphasizing intentional artistic choices. The page admits ignorance regarding The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask's Irreplaceable Friend. A separate question confirms the ongoing release of Kirby merchandise, including plush keychains, tin badges, and upcoming pretzel snacks, and a multifunctional rucksack. The page also features a reader question submission section, a caricature section, including a Shigesato Itoi caricature, and a section explaining the origin of the name Nintendo, correcting past errors. This page reports on several key news items. Firstly, it covers the Nintendo GameCube press conference held on August 24th, where the official name and July release window for the console, previously known as Dolphin, were announced. The article notes that many media outlets attended, and while the news spread globally, the TV coverage in Tokyo was limited to TV Asahi and TV Tokyo. It also mentions that some felt the media didn't fully capture the essence of the GameCube's appeal, especially when compared to the already released PlayStation 2. Secondly, the page highlights news from a September 8th investor briefing by Nintendo's Yamauchi regarding the expansion of Pokémon Centers. Plans were announced to open Pokémon Centers in approximately 10 major cities around the world, alongside online retail operations. The initial target for openings in New York and London was autumn 2001, with preparations already underway. Finally, it reports on Matsushita Electric's, Panasonic, announcement that they would be releasing a next-generation convergence machine simultaneously with the GameCube. This device, a DVD player with GameCube game compatibility, was presented as a product for a new market segment rather than direct competition with dedicated game consoles. It's mentioned that this collaboration between Nintendo and Matsushita was initially revealed back in May. This page highlights popular character goods featuring Pokémon and Doraemon. There are new Pokémon Kids series figures, the latest in the very popular Pokémon Kids series, with 13 types to collect. Doraemon also has a range of figures based on past movie works, with 21 types available. Moving on, there's news of an anime adaptation for the popular game series Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Children, known as Demi-Kids internationally. The anime, titled Shin Megami Tensei Devil Children, is set to air from October 7th and will adapt the storylines from the Black Book and Red Book versions of the game, with slightly different scenarios in each. In other news, there's a piece on Nintendo's new company building, marking the 7th installment in a series. Additionally, TBS Radio's limited company Momotaro Shoten is holding a Omatsuri Cheer Squad closing ceremony event. They are also looking for festival ideas from across Japan to support with their Omatsuri Cheer Squad. This page presents several news articles. First, it sadly announces the cancellation of the highly anticipated N64 game Mother 3, which editors attribute to discussions between Itoi Shigesato and Miyamoto Shigeru. The results of a Mario Tennis 64 special tournament are listed, showing the top 10 players and their scores, with Suganuma Haruki taking first place. Capcom's Biohazard Zero, known in English territories as Resident Evil Zero, originally in development for the N64, is now being moved to the GameCube for release next year. A campaign is also detailed for the Game Boy Color title Sakura Wars GB, where purchasing Pocket Sakura can win you premium goods. Finally, there is an announcement for a broadcast on September 28th showcasing the Super Smash Bros. Japan #1 Decision Tournament, with thousands of participants and commentary from Masahiro Sakurai himself. The next page delivers the latest 64DD news, highlighting the Mario Artist Apprentice School contest results for Paint Studio and Talent Studio. The winners, Mr. Q and Mr. Tomato, for their works Born to Be and Tomato respectively, have been awarded a pair trip to Hollywood. There's also a campaign for Bokujo Monogatari GB3, offering an original alarm clock featuring the voice of Raymond Johnson as a prize. 100 clocks are up for grabs, and applications are open until October 20th. The page then dives into Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, with Hamare Mandala information. An early clear campaign is announced where players can compete for clear time rankings, with the top 1,000 receiving a Demon Extermination certified player card. Snack versions of Shiren 2 are also being released at Lawson stores from September 25th, including limited edition cards. Japan Pro Golf Tour 64 is featured, emphasizing its realistic golf gameplay on famous domestic courses and online tournament functionality. In an apology and notice section, there's an apology regarding the 4-panel manga and a call for reader submissions for future manga, with guidelines provided. Lastly, there's news about a Shiren the Wanderer 2 wrapping bus appearing in the city, and a present notice for readers to win Shiren the Wanderer 2 special stickers and Monster Seal picture books by sending in reader postcards. This page is a Nintendo Space World special feature, highlighting a list of Game Boy Color software exhibited at the event. It mentions that 61 Game Boy titles were present, with 25 being playable, and notes the long wait times for the Hamtaro game. The page showcases 2 tables, listing a large number of Game Boy Color games across various genres, like RPG, action, puzzle, simulation, table games, adventure, etc. Some notable titles mentioned include Wizardry Series, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Children, Puzzle Bobble Millennium, Mega Man Extreme, Dance Dance Revolution GB2, Densha to Go, 2, Tales of Phantasia, Narakiri Dungeon, The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, Donkey Kong 2001, Mario Tennis GB, and Pokémon de Panapon. The tables also include details like release dates, prices, development progress, and waiting times for demos at the event. This page features 2 Game Boy Color games. The first game is The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, known in Japan as Zelda no Densetsu, Fushigi no Ki no Mi Daiichi no Shao. It's described as an action RPG where you use the Rod of Seasons to manipulate the environment. The story revolves around rescuing a character named Dean, who has been kidnapped by the evil General Gorgon. You'll use the Rod of Seasons to change the seasons, impacting the terrain and gameplay. Dean is depicted as a dancer and an important figure, captured by Gorgon. The second game is Monster Tactics, a Game Boy Color RPG described as a hide-and-seek game. In this game, you participate in the Araldi Kingdom Monster Hunting Tournament to catch monsters. Defeating monsters earns you Monta Kills, which power up your main character. The game features turn-based battles and dungeon exploration. Several characters are introduced: Kadian, Kevin, Regalis, Asian, Baharha, and Muni Muni, who seem to be either playable characters or monsters you can collect. The next page features 2 Game Boy Color games. The top section introduces Legend of Starfy, tentative title, an action game slated for December release. It highlights the new character, Starfy, the Prince of Tenkai, embarking on a grand adventure. Screenshots show Starfy in underwater levels and encountering enemies like Huron and Robuji-san. The text mentions that Starfy fell into the sea and aims to return to his kingdom of Tenkai. Robuji-san is described as a helpful ally who will assist Starfy. Below, the page introduces Kaitu Zoner, Mysterious Thief Zoner, an adventure game for Game Boy and Game Boy Color, scheduled for October release. This game is described as a mystery adventure, where players input passwords announced on TV using their remote control at home to solve 600 riddles. Screenshots show gameplay scenes in a school setting, featuring a character named Zoner. The text emphasizes Nazor Battle, where players solve riddles and select the correct reason from 3 options. It also mentions communication cable battles with friends. This page features 3 Game Boy Color games that link with or are related to Nintendo 64 titles. First is Mario Tennis GB, a portable version that connects to Mario Tennis 64. The game allows you to train characters and transfer them to the N64 game using a 64 GB pack, transfer pack. The screenshots show typical Mario Tennis gameplay and adventure mode style exploration of the Royal Tennis Academy. Next is Donkey Kong 2001. This game features powerful Donkey Kong and energetic Diddy Kong. Screenshots depict classic Donkey Kong Country-style platforming gameplay with barrel cannons and jungle environments. The text mentions the Kremling Gang and banana stockpiles, hinting at a traditional Donkey Kong adventure. Finally, there's Pokémon de Punapon, a puzzle game described as the latest in the Panel de Pon series, known internationally as Pokémon Puzzle Challenge. It emphasizes simple controls and addictive gameplay. Screenshots show puzzle gameplay and stage selection screens, indicating a single-player mode against computer trainers and a 2-player versus mode using a link cable. This page is a game preview showcasing 3 Game Boy Color titles. First up is Grandia, Parallel Trippers, an RPG from Hudson, set to release in December for 4,500 yen. It's part of the popular Grandia series and features familiar battle systems and characters like Yuhi, Justin, and Fiena. Next is Command Master, an RPG by Enix, priced at 5,900 yen and planned for a winter release. This game uses motion sensors for its V-battle system. Lastly, there's World War Holy Battle Record, Vanguard Princess, a strategy game from Banpresto, costing 3,980 yen and releasing in November. It's based on the World War Holy Battle Record Haushin Ingi anime, and is designed to be beginner-friendly, featuring original characters to the game. This page showcases 4 Game Boy Color titles. First, there is Super Robot Pinball, a pinball game where players defeat bumper characters in stages to face a boss, using balls to damage them. Next is Detective Kindaichi Case Files, 10th Year Invitation, an adventure game based on the popular manga and anime series, described as a novel-type adventure game where player choices affect the story and ending. Dance Dance Revolution GB2 for Game Boy is also highlighted, the second GB installment in the series, featuring 20 songs from Dance Dance Revolution 3rd Mix and Dance Dance Revolution Solo 2000. Finally, SpaceNet, temporary title, is introduced as an RPG where players are agents of SNA and must explore and rescue the Rainbow Star system from an invading force, using Space Network to gather information. This article previews 4 upcoming Game Boy Color games. Brave Saga. Shinsho Astaria is an RPG featuring over 150 characters from 19 anime, with randomly generated dungeons. Doki Doki Densetsu. Mahujin Guru Guru, an RPG from Enix, focuses on Nike and Kukuri, and uses a magic circle system for attacks. Cardcaptor Sakura. Tomoeda Shugaku Daiundu Kai is an ETC game set during Sports Day, featuring events like tug-of-war and minigames. Finally, Shin Seiki Evangelion. Mahjong Hokan Keikaku is a mahjong game based on Neon Genesis Evangelion, with characters like Rei and Asuka, and gameplay against apostles, and a communication battle mode. This page showcases a collection of Game Boy Color titles. First up is Poppin' Pop, a puzzle game where you connect balloons of the same color featuring cute characters similar to Bublun. Next is Hamster Club 2, a simulation game all about raising hamsters to become a top breeder, focusing on improving their abilities. Then there's Hamster Club Together Chew, another puzzle game in the Hamster Club series, where you need to align 3 or more of the same numbers, with support characters aiding your gameplay. Moving on to action, we have Mega Man Xtreme, where you battle against familiar foes like VAVA and Zero, utilizing power-ups and special weapons. For puzzle fans, there is Puyo Puyo 4 Pocket, which features a story mode involving Arlay and Carcoon in a circus setting, offering puzzle battles against numerous characters. Finally, for RPG enthusiasts, Demikid's light and dark versions are highlighted, focusing on training demon partners, utilizing fusion, and strengthening them in training facilities to enhance your adventure. The Illustration Grand Hall section of 64Dream magazine features fan artwork. The page showcases illustrations inspired by Nintendo franchises, primarily The Legend of Zelda and Mario. Artists from various prefectures submitted artwork, including scenes from Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, and Mario. The illustrations depict iconic characters in various settings, with artist comments offering insights into their inspiration and techniques. Themes include friendship, adventure, and humorous takes on established series, often referencing specific game elements. Several artists thank readers for their support and postcards, expressing a desire to continue creating. The collection concludes with an illustration of a rabbit-like character, possibly hinting at a theme from Majora's Mask, alongside a final artist's comments. This page is showcasing the Maniac Investigation Squad section, filled with fan-submitted illustrations and letters dedicated to Nintendo 64 games. The top section features an image of characters and text boxes where readers have sent in illustrations. One comment mentions anticipation for Mother 3, noting it's still in development, and another talks about Pocket Monsters Crystal, which is Pokemon Crystal in English, expressing excitement about getting it from Nintendo. Moving down, the Illustration Under 10 Years Old section presents a collection of charming, youthful artwork. There are drawings of Kirby, with one mentioning Koro Koro Kirby. There's Baby Mario, and illustrations featuring Link from Zelda, mentioning The Legend of Zelda and Majora's Mask. Pokemon also makes an appearance with Pikachu. Finally, the Illustration Fan Letter section contains letters from fans. One letter discusses The Legend of Zelda and how much they enjoy drawing Link and Saria. Another letter mentions drawing in a 4-panel comic style, and also expressing interest in drawing like the magazine's artists. The final letter is addressed to Matsumoto Keiko-sensei, praising their Mario illustrations and requesting more. It seems like a vibrant and enthusiastic page, celebrating fan creativity around Nintendo 64 games. This page showcases fan submissions centered around the theme of Game Boy. There are various illustrations and comments from fans across different prefectures in Japan, sharing their memories and love for the handheld console. Featured games include Mario Kart Advance, The Legend of Zelda, Kirby, Super Mario Land DX, Card Hero, Saga, Metroid, Pokemon, Star Ocean, Blue Sphere, Pokemon Yellow version, and Balloon Fight. The page hints at Game Boy being the theme for this month's submissions, and teases the theme for the next issue. This page is showcasing fan submissions under the title Mario Fan Core. The page highlights different styles of fan art, starting with a section called Real Series Go, which features artwork in a more realistic style, including Perfect Dark and Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, along with another artwork of a bug-like creature. There's a Cooperation Kokoro section, which seems to be a collaborative fan art piece, with many characters drawn in a cartoon style. The 4-panel manga house presents several short, humorous manga strips. One strip features Mario in different scenarios including tennis and a party, another has Link from Zelda in a comedic situation. Screenshots from Kirby's Dream Land 3 are shown in a section discussing playing games for 3 days straight and other Kirby-related fan comments, and there's also a screenshot from Super Mario 64. Throughout the page there are speech bubbles and text boxes containing comments from contributors and their locations, giving a personal touch to the fan submissions. This page is a collection of fan art illustrations themed around popular Nintendo 64 games. Many submissions are inspired by The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, with artwork depicting Link in various scenarios, including one where Link is humorously shown wearing a mailbox as a hat because of a misunderstanding of the term post hat. Other Zelda art shows Zora characters and the powerful fierce deity Link from Majora's Mask, highlighting his popularity. Beyond Zelda, there's fan art for Pokemon Crystal, showing the popular characters from the game. Earthbound, Mother 2, is also represented, with a fan expressing anticipation for Mother 3. Fire Emblem fan art is included, showcasing a character in a dramatic pose. Harvest Moon is featured too, with an illustration related to the Game Boy version, and Poppin' Music gets a nod with a cute panda-themed drawing. Mario Tennis 64 is represented by Peach in a tennis outfit. Lastly, there is art for Kirby 64. The Crystal Shards, depicting Kirby surrounded by strawberries, and Super Robot Taisen 64 characters, Leela and Soleil. The page is a vibrant display of fan creativity and passion for the Nintendo 64 era. This page showcases the Mario 64 Elite Force section, featuring fan-submitted illustrations for N64 games. Fans have sent in their artwork, and some are highlighted in boxes with accompanying comments. One section titled Cool Guys, Kirateru Katachi, spotlights particularly impressive drawings. There's also an illustration recruitment box, encouraging readers to submit their own artwork. The page concludes with this month's Stepped Up Privileged Persons, listing contributors ranked in different categories, seemingly based on their submissions. Games like Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64, and Sin and Punishment are visually represented in the fan art. One of the illustrations makes a humorous comment about Tingle from Zelda being the body, and Link being the heart. This page is dedicated to revealing hidden secrets and cheat codes in popular Nintendo 64 games under the title Masterpiece Mario Story's Deepest Drill Technique Revival Edition, The New Drill Technique. It details hidden characters, boards, and commands in 4 N64 titles. For 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, it reveals how to unlock hidden boards such as the Crystal Board, Metal Board, Panda Board, and Penguin Board by completing expert courses, obtaining high scores, and performing specific actions in the game's training mode. For Super Smash Bros., it explains how to unlock hidden characters Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, and Jigglypuff, Purin, by completing specific single-player modes, setting difficulty levels and stock counts, and winning challenge matches. For Mario Golf 64, it outlines how to unlock Koopa, Bowser, Donkey Kong, and Maple as playable characters by winning tournaments, getting ring shots, and collecting birdie badges in tournament mode. Finally, for F-Zero X, it reveals codes to unlock all cups and a deformed machine visual change using button input commands in the Mode Select screen. This page is showcasing dream techniques for various N64 games. There are tips for Paper Mario, Mario Story in Japan, such as returning to Boo's mansion after a certain point in the game, and entering a pot in a specific room to trigger a nostalgic music and turn Mario into Dotart style as a throwback to older Mario RPGs. Another Paper Mario tip is to read the signboard in Toad Town from the back to find different news content. There's also a secret in Luigi's house, where after helping 3-star children, you can return and spin jump on a suspicious floorboard in the first room to unlock diary entries and page updates. Another battle tip for Paper Mario is to use preemptive attacks with partners like Make a Koopa or Pink Puffs before enemies attack to gain an advantage, noting Pink Puffs is stronger than Kame Koopa. For Super Smash Bros., it explains how to unlock the Hyrule Castle stage, which is done by completing 1P mode with all 8 initial characters and playing on all VS mode stages. It also details how to unlock the item switch option by playing VS mode over 100 times, or by completing both Practice 1 and Bonus 2 in 1P mode with all 12 characters, which also unlocks the sound test. The page seems to be encouraging players to explore hidden features and secrets in these popular N64 titles. This page details Nintendo 64's year-end software strategy, focusing on the holiday season from November to December and comparing past performance. Nintendo plans a robust lineup of 13 games for the year 2000. Contrasting with the N64's launch in 1996, which had a limited selection. Previous year's releases are also highlighted. 1997 saw titles like Diddy Kong Racing and Yoshi's Story. 1998 boasted The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, and Mario Party. 1999 featured Donkey Kong 64 and Mario Party 2. The year 2000 included Banjo-Tooie, Mario Party 3, and various Pokemon titles. The page also features a Game Machine question box and recommendations, with this month's focus on Shiren the Wanderer 2 and September's on multiplayer games like Mario Kart 64 and Zelda. Kirby's Adventure, originally Hoshi no Kirby, Yume no Izumi no Monogatari, is a 1993 Famicom action game, the second in the Kirby series. The story involves Kirby's quest to restore peaceful dreams in Dreamland after King Day shatters the Star Rod. The game features 7 levels with unique maps, each culminating in a boss fight. A core mechanic is the copy system, where Kirby can inhale enemies and copy their abilities by pressing down, with over 20 powers available, like the burning ability. After defeating bosses, players can participate in bonus games for extra lives. These include Quick Draw Kirby, Egg Catcher, and Crane Fever. This page is about the Nintendo Space World 2000 event. It is described as a summer game festival and reports on the event for those who could not attend. The page highlights that the venue was crowded, making it difficult to find a place to rest. Despite the crowds, all the latest games were available to play, but the popular games had long queues, sometimes up to 1.5 hours, for just 10 minutes of playtime. Cosplayers were present, enjoying the event, with one person dressed as Tingle. The advanced corner was very popular, particularly Mario Kart Advance, a 4-player battle game, which generated excitement because you couldn't see your opponent's screen, adding to the tension. The L and R buttons on the GBA were mentioned as being slightly difficult to press until you got used to them. This page reports from a game show event, highlighting the focus on the Nintendo 64 hardware. It mentions the new hardware was drawing attention, but there were also N64 software experiences available. The page recommends Animal Forest, known internationally as Animal Crossing, as a top N64 game. The description suggests players strengthen weak characters to overcome strong enemies, and mentions wolf-like group attacks from enemies, indicating interesting gameplay. The People Found at the Venue section showcases attendees, including magazine staff members like Mr. Imura and Mr. Sao, the art director and editor-in-chief of Zelda Transmissions respectively, as well as readers of the magazine, including one holding the October issue's bonus handbook. The venue itself was busy with people from the game industry and even featured a celebrity appearance on the final day, creating excitement. Lucky fans got autographs. The bottom of the page expresses disappointment that the new Nintendo GameCube was not publicly exhibited at this general public day event. Link and Mario are depicted expressing this sentiment, urging readers to wait a little longer for more news. There is also a crossword puzzle in the corner of the page related to the 10th issue's bonus item. This page is showcasing a prize giveaway for the 50th issue of 64Dream magazine. Up for grabs are various Nintendo consoles and games, including 2 Pikachu Nintendo 64 consoles in orange and yellow and blue and yellow colors, a midnight blue N64, 3 standard gray N64 controllers highlighting Mario Tennis 64's multiplayer, Mario Story N64 game, Paper Mario in English, 2 Game Boy Colors, standard and water blue Tsutaya exclusive, a Famicom, AV modded, a Super Famicom Jr., and a Virtual Boy with a set of 9 games. This page is all about presents to celebrate the 50th issue of 64Dream magazine. There are loads of prizes to be won, and they are giving away toys of Yoshi from Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong from Diddy Kong Racing. You could also win a year's subscription to 64Dream magazine, or a set of 64Dream posters, or even a super rare 64Dream telecassette. Moving on to the item prizes, you can win a Game Boy Color carry bag, or a 64 System Rack DX, which is perfect for storing your N64 and all its bits and pieces. There are also strategy guide sets for games like Mario Golf 64, Donkey Kong 64, and The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. For Game Boy fans, they are giving away Pokemon Gold and Silver strategy guides in special cases, as well as the actual Pokemon Gold and Silver Game Boy games themselves. There is a Nintendo concept book up for grabs, which talks about the upcoming GameCube and Game Boy Advance. You can also win a 64Dream letter set and lucky bags with random goodies inside. Rare item. Finally, some of the 64Dream staff are offering their own personal presents, ranging from Nintendo and overseas travel goods, handmade items, painting game goods, military items, game collections, and even some strange or unusual items. The application deadline is October 20th, 2000, and the winners will be announced in the January issue of 64Dream, released in November. This page is an advertisement for a Zelda No Teleka Everyone service campaign from 64Dream magazine celebrating the announcement of the Nintendo GameCube, the successor to the N64. The promotion features Zelda demo footage and artwork of Link and Ganon. The page details how to apply for a Zelda Teleka card by cutting out the application form, filling in address, name, and phone number, and sending it with 800 yen worth of postage stamps to the given address before the deadline of October 21st. You can apply for multiple cards, with each card costing 800 yen in postage. A reader survey for 64Dream magazine solicits opinions on the current issue, gauging reader preferences for cover art, article content, and specific articles. Readers select favorite articles from a list including titles like Attachment, Special Seal, and Perfect Dark. The survey also explores interest in upcoming N64 and GBA software, presenting lists of games like Diddy Kong Racing and Castlevania, Circle of the Moon. Additionally, the survey probes interest in game character merchandise, asking about current ownership and desired items such as mugs and plush toys. Prizes are offered for survey participation, including Game Boy Color items and Majora's Mask merchandise. Finally, the survey includes editorial commentary, addressing reader feedback, and sharing a personal anecdote. This page is a contents page for the 12th issue of 64Dream magazine, announcing it will be released on Saturday, October 21st, at a price of 490 yen. The next menu section highlights strategy guides for Shiren 2 and Perfect Dark, alongside an exploration into the potential of the Nintendo GameCube. Small images hint at features for Ogre Battle 3 and Zelda. The editor's voice section includes various topics like reader feedback on Mario and Luigi RPG Teletour, and mentions the magazine's anniversary, discussing the content from the past and looking forward to future games like Mother 3. It also briefly mentions Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Advance. There's a comic strip called Rokuyan Dream Diary, featuring Mario and Luigi in a humorous situation, and a staff list detailing roles and names of the magazine's team. The bottom section promotes the Nintendo Stadium Corner and announces that the November issue is already on sale. It reveals the cover story will be about Pokemon Stadium Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and a separate supplement featuring Harvest Moon GB3. This page is an advertisement for Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren 2, which was released internationally as Shiren the Wanderer 2 on the Nintendo 64. The advert promotes the game's release date of September 27th, priced at 6,800 yen. It also mentions an official guidebook and a Monster Seal collection. Screenshots of the gameplay are shown, and there's a notice about a competition for players who can clear the game quickly. The page also provides website details for Chunsoft and Nintendo, and highlights other related merchandise like guidebooks and Monster Seal books. There is also a mention of a Loppy service and Super Famicom version of Shiren. This page is an advertisement for two Game Boy Color Mahjong games. The first is Neon Genesis Evangelion Mahjong Completion Project, which was released on September 29th and priced at 3,980 yen. This game features characters from Evangelion like Rei Ayanami and is themed around the anime. The second game advertised is Dejiko's Mahjong Party, slated for release in October 2000, also priced at 3,980 yen. This title stars the character Dejiko and offers a mahjong experience geared towards a younger audience. Both games emphasize easy and fun mahjong gameplay with popular anime characters.